Welcome to our second Up and Out program. Up and Out is an ongoing series of programming dedicated to sharing resources and information pertaining to LGBTQ plus teens, as well as all other Prince George's County's teens and residents. Today, I'm joined by my colleague, Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey. Doing well yourself?
I'm doing well as well. Thank you for asking. We will be in conversation with the Dignity Project to discuss what resources and services they offer teens in Prince George's County. And from the Dignity Project, we have one of its co-founders and its director, Cassie Morris. Hey, Cassie.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Erica. Thank you guys for having me on today.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Can you start off just by telling everyone what is the Dignity Project and how did it get started?
So the Dignity Project is an LGBTQ organization that was founded right here in Prince George's County. So we're an organization that focuses on uplifting the beauty of the LGBTQ community. By doing so, we focus on working with lawmakers to make sure there's law put in place that benefits the LGBTQ plus community. We also focus on serving the needs of the community. One of the things that we focus on is basic needs, make sure people have what they need, the resources. And so what started the LGBTQ Dignity Project, it's always something that it was there to me. I grew up in a country like Jamaica where, homophobia was prevalent when I came out at 15, and when I came to the United States, I thought it wasn't going to be here. But when I moved here in 2015 from Texas, I realized that, man, I thought it was going to be even better here. But then I realized that in Prince George's County, there's little to no resources for the LGBTQ plus community. And a couple of years ago in 2019, we had 2 transgender women that were killed in Fairmount Heights. And there was not a lot of publicity around it. There was not a lot of uproar. And that's when, I realized that we need something in Prince George's County to actually help the community to focus on the needs and the issues of the LGBTQ plus community. Because there's organization here that, that touch things here and there and focus a lot on HIV and AIDS, the negative stuff of the LGBTQ plus community, especially the community of color. But there's not really anything that focuses on, okay, we're going to embrace the community. We're going to show up and we're going to show out. There is no really engagement from the elected officials in the county around LGBTQ issues because it was not something that's been talked about. When you look at some of the issues that's going on in the county where children are being bullied, where, as I mentioned earlier, people are being killed, but there's no parole. It's like, okay, it's happened, it's gone, we're not going to focus on it. So that's what prompted us to start the Dignity Project.
No, that makes sense. It sounds like it was birthed out of wanting people to take trans lives and other LGBTQ plus lives seriously, but also wanting to celebrate the positive. Yeah, because it's one thing, and I think it's very, we see this kind of as just a bit of a side note, but in Hollywood, they talk about representation in media and stuff like that. And a lot of times with people of color, they, often show negative things. They're showing us it's negative. So you want to see something more positive. I know there was an article actually that the University of Maryland ran. They ran a story that was covering your participation in a Black Lives Matter Pride event that took place in this past June in 2020. So can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be? Sure.
So in 2019, we were thinking about coming out big in Prince George's County because there's a lot of members of the LGBTQ plus community in Prince George's County. And with Prince George's County they pride themselves on, we're the richest African-American community in the country, but yet still, we all know that African-American community is underserved, and not to mention the Black LGBTQ plus community. But there's nothing in the county to highlight Pride Month, the LGBTQ community. So we partner with a few organizations okay, we're going to go big, we're going to do a festival, we're going to probably do a little parade or something, but that did not happen due to COVID. So we said, okay, So what we're gonna do is we still gonna make sure they understand that the LGBTQ plus community is here, and we're gonna stand out loud and proud. And in the wake of the old George Floyd incident, and the Black Lives Matter and the LGBTQ community, did a lot of work together during that time. So we said, okay, we're not able to come out as big as we want because we have to care about the safety of our residents and our citizens first. So we partnered with the mayor of College Park, which is Patrick Oyen. He's a big supporter of the Dignity Project. The state's attorney, Aisha Braveboy, she has been a big supporter since day one as well. And Pamela Boozer, she is a school board member. And we did a Black Lives Matter a pride motorcade while standing in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. And we did a motorcade from College Park over to Largo. Then when we got to Largo, we gave away over 100 bags of groceries to people in need. We did not focus on just the LGBTQ plus community, because even though that's our main goal, but at the end of the day, we're here to show that, hey, we want to unite the community and let them say that, hey, even though we're an LGBTQ organization, we need allies, and we're here just as normal human beings. We want to come together and be a part of the society in a positive way. So that was very successful, because one of the reasons why I think it was so successful is because we put our heart in it. And, there's so many people in Prince George's County that need a space where they can feel like they're welcome in the community. Because I've been in DC, I've been to Baltimore, Montgomery County areas, and there's so many people that come from Prince George's County and go to those areas just to feel a sense of belonging. And the Dignity Project, we stand firm on this, that we are gonna make sure here in Prince George's County, we have a space to feel that way while providing resources to people in need.
I think it's really important to remember. I mean, yes, it's Black History Month, which I think it should be Black History Month every month, just as well as it should be LGBTQ History Month every month and all that good stuff.
Right.
But I think it's important to remember that when you say Black Lives Matter or Queer Lives Matter, that it's not just about defending someone when they get shot by police, although that is important.
Exactly.
It's also about quality of life. And so if you can't afford groceries, like you said, the Dignity Project providing groceries, that supports that phrase,
right,
and movement, Black Lives Matter. So I really understand the logic behind that. And I appreciate you for doing that. I think that's really amazing. Why do you think it's particularly important to center conversations around being Black and being a part of the LGBTQ plus community at the same time, like putting them together?
Well, being Black, you're already at a disadvantage in America, and we have to call a spade for what it is. I love this country. I'm being honest. I came here, and I was able to achieve stuff that I probably wouldn't have achieved being a lesbian woman in Jamaica, right? I was married. I'm divorced now, but I was able to marry my ex-wife. So those freedom I wouldn't have. But as I said, being Black and LGBTQ in America, we see where especially Black trans women are targeted. And whenever time a Black trans woman is killed or something happened, you don't really see a lot of highlight around it, right? During the whole George Floyd movement, Tony McDade, who is a Black trans man, was murdered down in Florida by the police. You didn't really see an uproar about that. I really try to bring some highlight to it around the whole with the PG change makers and the Black Lives movements in Prince George's County. And we did a flyer where we actually highlight her on it, because I'm like, we need to highlight stuff that's going on around the LGBTQ community. Because as I mentioned, being Black has a disadvantage, and being Black and LGBTQ, you're two disadvantage right there. And then to add being trans, so you're a Black, trans, LGBTQ member in America, it's a big disadvantage, and we need support. And when you look at jobs, you know, it said that a black trans a black trans person life expectancy is 29. Their average salary is $15,000 per year. Who in America can survive? It don't matter if you live in the deep south. I'm $15,000 a year to get up every day and know that by 29 I might be dead. You know, that's very sad. And the fact that we're not having more of these conversations around the whole Black Lives Matter movement, you know, as a Dignity Project, we found it that we're going to make sure we highlight those things because, you know, no offense to anyone, but the LGBTQ movement is mostly dominated by white cis men. And, you know, when you look at people like Marsha P. Johnson, if it, you know, she started the Stonewall movement, you know, and those are things that need to be said. You have so many names around the old Black Lives Matter movement that made Black history what it is in the United States. You have Gladys Bentley, you got James Baldwin, you know, you got names like those. You don't hear those names mentioned, you know, because these are people who identify as being members of the LGBTQ plus community. And I think that, you know, we have to start putting more emphasis on our involvement in making the Black community what it is today. You know, in fashion, you know, you have all these Black queer people out there doing it in the theater, all these things, but it's like convenience when Black queer people are like, oh, for a show, but it needs to change. And in Prince George's County, I was very disappointed when we had our first Pride Parade or motorcade to know that we invite, you know, all these people. And I will forever have a lot of respect for the state's attorney because she's one person that's been supportive. She actually helped us to provide toiletries, winter stuff for the Black LGBTQ homeless youths. Most of them are at Casa Ruby in DC because we have a partnership with Casa Ruby. And she helped, and she came down there. It's not even in her area. It's in DC. She came down there and show up because a lot of these individuals are from Prince George's County, but there's no representation in Prince George's County. There's nothing in Prince George's County that's providing these resources, so they have to go to DC in order to find a safe haven.
I love what you said about trying to create a sense of home within your home here in PG County instead of having to go to DC or Annapolis, like you said. And I was curious what you had said about the need to provide physical basics, like you said, with the grocery drive. Like, how many other platforms with that are you all thinking of?
So we did a winter drive in late last year, earlier this year, and we were able to collect toiletries, coats, and stuff. We were able to distribute them. We do a lot of it. Sometimes we go down to places like DuPont Circle where people are, you know, homeless, members of the LGBTQ community. And of course, if we see other folks, we're not going to leave them out there and don't give them, right? And one of the next thing that we're focusing on as well is we're looking for partners to partner with us throughout the year so we can actually keep on providing these resources throughout the year. I wish Malana was able to get on because we're trying to partner with the GSAs in Prince George's County to see. Here she is. Yeah, because we think
hi everybody.
Can you go on mute? We think it's really important that we focus some resources on the youths, especially now that with the COVID crisis, a lot of these youths are home and their home life is not the best with being queer. And so one thing that we're trying to do is to see how we can provide some resources to some of those youths. And the GSA is a good place to start because that's where a safe haven for them. Luckily on our board, we have a member of the Prince George's County School System. His name is Dr. Howard Brent. He just joined our board and he's gonna help us with focus more on the school system and how we can tap into those systems, because that's where it started, in the schools in Prince George's County. There have been several assaults and several, and even suicides of students in Prince George's County, but we don't hear about it, right? We don't hear about it. So we're trying to.
Yeah.
The end goal is to have a safe space in Prince George's County. Long term is a shelter, but within the next 1 to 5 years, our end goal is to open up a resource center with a counselor, 24-hour run, where people can come to feel safe, come for a cup of coffee, come for some food, come for some basic toiletry needs. So those are steps that we're trying to move forward in order to keep going.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. I'll definitely join you guys for some coffee.
Sure.
And come and, give things that I can. I wonder if, a lot of the things that you mentioned, wanting to expose what's going on with LGBTQ plus community, especially teens. They're very vulnerable to homelessness and becoming, victims of like human trafficking and stuff like that.
Right.
Many of those reasons were the reasons that we decided to make an ongoing series, to try to disseminate knowledge about different resources and stuff. Because not only are the victims of these, I guess they're kind of like hate crimes, not only are they not spoken about enough, but also I feel like a lot of people don't know about the resources available to them if they need. So let's say a queer teen or a teen needs some kind of toiletries or grocery drives or anything like that, and would like to partake in what the Dignity Project has to offer. What is the best place to go see what you guys are doing? Or do you have any upcoming drives or events that are going on? They're going to happen soon?
So we do have a drive coming up pretty soon, and it's not public, but we do have a relationship going on now with Starbucks. They reach out to us, so they are actually helping us with collecting some stuff, and the state's attorney office. So if someone is a victim, if someone is a survivor of the trauma and they need some help, they can always reach out to the Dignity Project. We have a partnership with the state's attorney office where we actually partner with them to come up with, instead of sending people to jail through sex trafficking and stuff like that, we look on other avenues where we can deal with it. So, and that's one of the things that I'm happy about, the partnership with the state's attorney office. And they can get involved. They can we have a phone number they can call if they don't have access to email. They can always call us at 832-883-2194 if they want to get involved. We do have partnership with Casa Ruby, where we go down to Casa Ruby sometimes, where we help out in the kitchen to make sure we feed the people in need. We go to the streets where we know that there's a population of LGBTQ individuals and provide them with toiletries, with snacks. Know that it's the winter it's in the midst of the winter, so we're still out there and active, and hopefully in another couple of weeks we'll be back down in DC around the DuPont Circle area to provide some toiletries, some socks, some scarves, just the basic needs. And if there's someone in Prince George's County that needs some help, feel free to call us, email us on Facebook, because I have individuals reach out and they're looking for a place for the night. We don't have a lot of money because we do not have a lot of money coming in. So sometimes it's out of pocket. So if there's people that want to partner with us as well to help these individuals, we are open to partnership where, because it's an effort in Prince George's County. Last year, we worked with the school board and we got the Welcoming School Initiative passed during the budget, but during reconciliation during the COVID, they cut it from the budget, because the Welcoming School is an initiative by the Human Rights Campaign And we took the lead on it in Prince George's County. What it does, it helps with bullying. It trains teachers, bus drivers, the janitors, everyone on how to deal with LGBTQ issues, because it's sad, but it's very, very sad. I can't stress how sad it is to know that there's children in school that are facing discrimination right here in Prince George's County from teachers, from bus drivers, from the janitors, from other students, and there's nothing been done about it. I've had phone calls from parents, I've had phone calls from students, but they're afraid to actually go public to talk about it. And not only in the schools, but I even had an email from a police officer in Prince George's County who was called the F word, all those words, while at work, and he reported it and nothing happened. So we have to come together in Prince George. It needs to be a collective effort right here in Prince George's County to really what's going on, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and because there's no focus on it, it's getting swept under the rug.
Yeah, I think I like I like that you guys are really attacking it from all fronts, because it doesn't just exist in one sphere. Like, it's not just at school, it's not just housing discrimination, it's not just employment discrimination, it's everything. Can you speak a little more on your partnership with the state attorney's office? I really like the idea of redirecting how victims of or survivors rather of human trafficking are dealt with, because I know statistics, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I know that most of the time they're victims of sexual assault and trauma and stuff like that. So it's like punishing people who have already been punished. So are you able to speak a little more on that, or is it like still in the developing stages?
No, sure. So we work with the state's attorney office to create a diversion program. You know, as I mentioned, instead of locking people up, throwing them away. And because, you know, when we went to the state's attorney office with Ruby from Casa Ruby and another black trans woman, and two other members of the LGBTQ plus community. And that woman, when she walked inside the state's attorney office, she said, "This is my first time being in a courthouse, and I'm not going to jail." And it really resonated with the state's attorney. And so the state's attorney also formed the LGBTQ task force in our office, which we're a part of. They actually have someone that's dedicated to that. The meeting stopped a little bit during COVID, but I just got a call from them that they're getting ready to start back up. So our partnership started, and I'm going to say this, I'm not promoting a politician or anything, but you have to give people credit where they deserve. So I met the state's attorney a little bit before she started running for office. And when she started running for state's attorney, I asked her, I said, "Aisha," at that time she was a state's attorney, I said, "Just so you know, the I'm a lesbian woman, and I don't see anything in Prince George's County that focuses on LGBTQ issues. And if elected, what are you gonna do?" Because, and she speak publicly about her opposition when she was down in Annapolis as a delegate she voted against marriage equality. And she told me, she said, "I'm gonna just be honest with you, I voted against marriage equality, but I've grown since then." And she understood, she's from the Caribbean. Her background is Caribbean, just like me. So, not that I'm giving her a pass, but I can understand probably her upbringing, why she did it. But she promised me that she's going to do everything as a state's attorney within her powers to make sure she helped the LGBTQ community and focus on stuff that she can do to work with the LGBTQ community. And when she got in office, she called us and she said, "How can we work together to help the LGBTQ plus community?" When those transgender women were murdered, some people say I shouldn't say murdered because it sounds too harsh, but it's the truth. They were murdered in Fairmount Heights, and we don't hear anything about it, And she worked with us, and You know, every time something happened in the community, we can call her. And, you know, obviously we don't call her directly sometimes, but there's someone in our office that gets the message to her. And she met with us several times about how she can do better to help us in the community. Whenever time we're doing a drive, she's there. We're doing an event, whether there's a camera or not, she's there. You know, as I mentioned, she created a whole task force focuses on LGBTQ issues. She did the Divergent program. She asked us for input. So she has been very active in helping the LGBTQ plus community. She went down to DC, which is outside. I mentioned that before, but she went down to DC to actually meet with members of the LGBTQ plus community that lives in Prince George's County, but are afraid to talk to the police in Prince George's County because of the discrimination they face when they get beat up. You know, I'm very straightforward. You know, I don't using all those fancy words. Sometimes I just say what it is. You know, these women have been beat up. Some would say use assault. They sound more polished, but they were beaten up in Prince George's County. They called the police. The police laugh after these transgender women and asking them what they have between their legs. So those are stuff that happen right here in Prince George's County. The state's attorney, when she hear about stuff like those, she's there to listen. You know, so her partnership with us go way beyond just, hey, I'm gonna give you guys some toiletries, or I'm gonna come to an event and take some pictures. Our partnership with us goes all where she saw the need and created an LGBTQ task force in our office. Divergent program for women, especially trans women of human trafficking.
I mean, that sounds. I appreciate using the real words because I feel like people do want to glaze over it sometimes. So it's important to keep the gravity of it. I wonder for people in Prince George's County, be they teens, adults, whatever, of the queer community, if they fear for their life in some way, if they've been assaulted or beaten up, as you say, and they are scared to call the police, who would you recommend that they contact to kind of get into a safe space?
So we are a buffer. So the Prince George's County Police also created a LGBTQ task force. Captain Mitchell, he has retired now, but he was the head of it. I had a close relationship with him where I would call him directly. So we created that buffer there. So if someone is being assaulted or they need help, they can, if they feel comfortable calling 911, they can do so. If they don't feel like if they don't feel like they're gonna get the response that they deserve, they can call us, and because we have, you know, we create relationship with the Prince George's County Police as well and other organizations. Some of them are in DC and Baltimore. We have a relationship with Free State Justice. We have a relationship with Casa Ruby. We have relationship with several LGBTQ organizations. So they reach out to us and we reach out to our resources to see how we can help them. Because I understand that a lot of people in the community, we don't feel safe calling the police because it's sad, but there's a lot of people out there that are police officers, that are teachers, that are politicians, that are pastors, all these things that are supposed to be protecting the community. And these people are out here discriminating, treating us like we're half human or not even human. So especially trans, you know, I speak a lot of Black trans women because they are probably the most vulnerable in America today. And that's why I focus so much on Black trans women, because I remember what I went through as a lesbian in Jamaica, and it reminded me so much of what Black trans women go through here in the United States. So we're the LGBTQ Dignity Project. They can always call us. If it's an urgent need, I prefer if they call instead of email, because you know, email we might not see right away, but a phone call, we always get that phone call.
And the phone number they can call is 832-883-2194. Or is there another one? Okay.
Yes, they can always call that phone number 24 hours a day.
And just for clarity's sake, Casa Ruby that you work with, that is a basically a shelter for LGBTQ plus people,
Yes.
right? Homeless
Yes, it's
shelter.
in DC. It's off Georgia Avenue in DC.
Okay. So, and you said that you've partnered with them, you've partnered with the state attorney's office, Free State Justice, Starbucks. So all of them, all of them you've been partnering with. So if someone doesn't feel comfortable, say they've called the police before and they just, or whomever they've contacted to get support in their, toxic environment, and they don't feel comfortable contacting the usual people, they can reach out to you and you'll like send out your feelers and just connect them with who they need to be connected with, basically.
Right. We also have a direct contact in the state's attorney office where we call her directly if there's an issue in the community. She's going to answer her phone. She's a member of the community, and she's ready. Every time I call her, she's like, okay, what we need to do. She's on it. She's not playing no games. She's
right.
Make sure we're being served. And so we have several people in different places, and also we have a school board member, Pamela Boozer. She's a member of the community as well. So she's one of our allies on the school. I mean, most of them on the school board are allies. Maybe I have one or two that's not, but most of them, even if they're not a member of the LGBTQ plus community, they're there to support. So, we create a coalition and relationship with people in the county. I think the most part is to try to get the people that are on a higher level to stop making promises and actually do work. And I think one of the things that as LGBTQ individuals, what we need to do, there's an election coming up in 2022. We need to get out there and we need to do some forums. And we need to let them understand that, listen, we're here and we're voters, we're taxpayers, and we need to be represented. I'm not saying we have to put all queer people in office or what have you, but we need to know that you are there representing us as well. Not just the mega churches in Prince George's County. We need representation.
Right. And since we do try to focus on like teen stuff a little bit, like highlighting, do you have any specific, well, it's already there are already a lot of things working against the people you're trying to serve, as you mentioned. If people of color, LGBTQ plus community, when you put it together, it's even harder. But we know too that when you add being underage or being a teenager to that, it's even worse. So say do you have any services that are specifically for teens or any ways that you help teens specifically? I know you help everyone, but.
No, so one of the things that we're doing now is, as I mentioned, we're partnering with the GSAs. Luckily, we have Charles Herbert Flores High School. Charles Flores, he's always getting mixed up. So that's the first GSA that we partner with. And one of the things that for teens that we try to do is build relationship with the schools, which is kind of hard because I've called several schools, and once I mentioned, the LGBT, but they hung the phone up. So yes, so we're one of the things that we were able to get done is have a declaration for Pride Month. So June is now declared as Pride Month in Prince George's County by the school board, and so what we do provide resources to teens, but as you say, it's a very hard group to tap into because they're underage, and we do not have a brick and mortar facility at the moment. So that's why partnering with the GSAs and the teachers is so important at this point. Because I've had several, phone calls from parents and teachers and students, talking about stuff that they endure, but a lot of them are afraid to actually come forward to talk about stuff publicly. And, so it's something that we are heavily focusing on, because especially with our drives, we focus a lot on helping teens. And, these places that work like Casa Ruby and Free State Justice, they focus a lot on, young youths as well, because even at Casa Ruby, there's teens there, you know, that just need a safe space to stay. So they're there. I know someone mentioned that Shepherd's Cove here in Prince George's County sometimes holds teens for like probably a week or so that need a safe space to stay. But I've yet to get a solid answer from them on if they really focus on LGBTQ issues. So that's something I'm still trying to talk to them about. Like, hey, are you guys LGBTQ issues? But it's still yet to be determined if they're really focusing on that.
But you said they
Shepherd's Cove.
Shepherds. Okay.
It's over there in Fairmount Heights.
Okay. So if teens need to like kind of escape a situation like quickly or briefly, they can go there.
Right, they can go there. And that's why we are so heavily, hopefully, that we get some funding and is able to provide a space in the county that we can focus on, have a drop-in center. Because that way I think we could be more resourceful to the teens, because, you know, one thing that I'm trying to start up doing is a podcast, which I think would probably pull some teens as well, because it's a lot of teens in the county that need help, but they don't know where to turn to. And I wanted to know that the Dignity Project is here, and we are heavily focused on figuring out the best way to serve the teens in the county. I'm not going to say we mastered it or we have it locked, but that's one of our focus, because we understand that, and that's why we focus so much on lobbying the school board, trying to reach out to teachers, the GSAs, because that's where it starts. And that's where a lot of these teens find themselves in difficult situations of sex trafficking, of mental issues, wanting to commit suicide, harming themselves because there's not an avenue, because they're getting it at home, they're getting it at school. Every turn they turn, they're getting it. So, and I wish Malona could join, because, that's why I was like, gearing it from a teen perspective and understand, the partnership that we have with them would be so helpful. Yeah.
I was curious. You'd said you already have the connection with the Charles Flower Herbert GSA.
Yes.
Are there projects that you've done with them that you want to highlight, or any future?
Yes. So we did the winter clothing drive. They were one of our partners, and as a matter of fact, after this call, we have a conference call to talk about. We're going to do a Black History event to focus on being Black and LGBTQ, like we did in June, but a little bit more focusing on the history. And she's going to be one of the speakers on there as well, to talk about some of the history of Black history, Black history when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community. And so that's something we're looking towards the last week of February. We haven't set a date because we're going to meet tonight to talk about the date and the details of the event. And then, further along, we want to partner with them some more so we can have like sessions, like group session, talk to the youth, find out some of their concerns, and even with the parents there, just to like training from, of course, and professionals to talk to the parents on how to deal with these issues, because because some parents think it's the end of the world, like my parents. when a child come up, my parents thought it was the end of the world. I was supposed to go to the church and repent and all these things. So we're trying to tap into these GSAs, and I met Malana, I met her mom, and she's very open to help us with driving some of these things. So if we can get some more GSAs on board, so we can serve not only students but the parents, because if the parents can understand and really be there for the children, I think they will have a more stable life.
No, that makes sense. And just for those watching who aren't familiar, GSAs are gay straight alliances.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. No problem. Just so I'm not sure how much everyone knows who's watching, they might be a little unfamiliar, but I feel like the Dignity Project, you're following in this like tradition of America actually has a long tradition, as you had mentioned before, of queer people, queer Black people being activists and being like really grassroots organizers and stuff like that. You mentioned James Baldwin, there's Angela Davis, Marsha P. Johnson. Bayard Rustin is someone who doesn't get a lot of talk, but he wrote some of MLK's speeches and stuff, and he was out as well. Yeah. And I was just, in addition to a lot of physical needs that you guys take care of, like toiletries, doing the coat drives and stuff, it also seems like you help to facilitate space to speak about issues and feel safe in doing so. I saw that you had held a town hall on the state of being Black in America. Can you speak a little bit about that? And how that
we had that event in June as well for at Pride Month last year, and we focus on making sure we create a space for people that are lesbians, gay men, transgender, and everyone get an opportunity to come on and understand. Because as I mentioned earlier on, the state of being Black and queer in America is a double whammy, because we have to create those spaces where people can feel comfortable to come and speak, because on the whole, Black people are always religious and preaching the gospel, which ain't nothing is wrong with that, but it's like we don't get the opportunity to speak about these things in our communities, because as I mentioned, Prince George's County prides itself as being the richest African American community in the country, but yet still a large number of our population is left behind, right? Because we don't speak about the issues that's going on here. And I should also mention that Denizen Brewery in Riverdale, they were actually going to give us a space to host a happy hour every month, but then the pandemic hit, So we were actually creating not just virtual spaces, but actual spaces where we can come together and feel safe in our communities, right? Because it's sad when you're here. Oh well, like for example, I'm more masculine presenting, right? And when I'm walking down the street, especially when I was in Jamaica, you would hear stuff like, it's just a lot of disrespectful stuff like, oh, I'm gonna do whatever to make you straight and stuff like those, right? So it's happening right here in America too, and we need a space. And as I mentioned, in our Black homes, there's a space for some time. And then you see all these Black LGBTQ plus individuals that have been killed, that have been abused, that have been victims of survivors of sex trafficking, survivors of domestic abuse, especially, well, this now is especially to the Black gay men. Whenever time, there's domestic abuse in the Black gay community, it's like it's nothing, because they're supposed to be macho. They shouldn't talk about, being in an abusive relationship and stuff like that. So we have to create these spaces where we see people for people, not just gender, right? And in the Black community, we really don't have that a lot, and that's something that we're focusing on to create in Prince George's County and beyond. That's why we didn't name our organization Prince George's County LGBTQ Dignity Project, because we're gonna go big and we're gonna make a mark not only on Prince George's County, but on the United States of America, possibly worldwide, because we're not slowing down.
All right, worldwide. Okay, see you worldwide. Don't limit yourself. I know that's right.
Down with that.
So that happy hour sounds like it would have been really cute, but COVID, like that happened to everything. So I wonder, for some of those things, like that was going to be a safe space, right? But for things like that got thwarted by COVID, like, have you guys redirected it into a virtual space, or have you been able to do that since COVID happened?
Well, we haven't, apart from the one event that we had focusing on being Black and LGBTQ in America, we didn't really focus a lot because we were heavily focusing on with the PG Changemaker, which we're no longer a part of that group, but we still support their effort. So we are partnering with an organization called Patriots Technology. It's an organization that focuses on STEM, especially, women and minorities in STEM. It's over there in C Pleasant off MLK. They're actually giving us a space to start a podcast. So that's something that we are talking about. And hopefully in next month, we will be able to start our monthly podcast, which is going to be not just focusing on the thing that we spoke about focusing on with that podcast is career for members of the LGBTQ community, especially those that are in high school and getting ready to step out in the professional field. So that's something that we're going to focus on in that podcast, and also resources, and create a safe space, create virtual happy hours and stuff like that.
So where would we, if we want to listen to the podcast, you said in about a month or so, it'll start?
Yeah, we have a
Facebook?
So it's going to be on our Facebook page once we put it all together, because we just start making plans about that probably like a couple of weeks ago. We went and looked on the space, and so we're, it's needed. So hopefully by March we'll have our kickoff event, which the kickoff event, we're gonna focus on introducing, the podcast, talk about some resources that we're trying to do. Also focus on, we wanted, as I said, we want it to be youth driven. A lot of, not just about, this, we want to focus a lot on how can companies, I bring companies in as well that speak about hiring members of the LGBTQ plus community, and focus on careers with the LGBTQ plus community, especially those who are just leaving high school and want to get in the workforce or go to college, or career goals and stuff like those. And then, probably every quarter want to make it like a virtual happy hour.
That sounds fun. Count me in.
Definitely.
I'll drink anytime. I know the Dignity Project does not have a physical space at the moment, but speaking of jobs and youth and stuff, do you guys happen to offer any internships for youth that might want to work with you, or any jobs for youth that might want to work with you maybe?
So we have two positions that we're gonna have open. One of them is for a social media person, but they're gonna be, we will offer a stipend, but it's not gonna be like a paid internship. And and we need like someone to help us with the admin stuff. So a social media person and an admin person to help us with some of those stuff. But they're not gonna be like a salary based job. Is going to be more of, we would probably provide them with a stipend, because we do not have the funding right now to actually hire someone in a sense of a paid job. We just applied for some funding. We'll see if that goes through, because we do not currently have a 501c3. We have a physical sponsor. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that creates some barriers because people want, stuff like that. So, while we're out here, we're stomping the ground, we're working hard. We're currently working on our 501c3 hopefully by this summer, we'll have our own 501c3.
You'll get there. You've only existed for what, like a couple of years, and you've already done all of this stuff. So
a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, a year and a half. I'm sure you'll get there, but I think it's sometimes. Money is very important, of course, but sometimes people do still want to get involved. So sometimes a stipend,
right,
in stuff that they really care about. So that's why I ask.
Definitely.
Yeah, nonprofits and stuff. You're working on the 501c3.
Right.
But they're notoriously kind of underpaid, but you do it because you believe in the
exactly
organization and stuff.
Definitely.
But yeah, so what's one of the most fun programs or events that the Dignity Project has put on that you've loved?
So I really enjoyed the motorcade through Prince George's County, and the reason why, it was just so beautiful to see all of us that live in the county as LGBTQ plus individual just feel free. We just feel proud. We were just driving down the street with our pride flags, just embracing that moment. I know that look where we're coming from. We're here. And it was just so amazing, while I enjoyed, the seriousness of talking about being Black and LGBTQ plus in America, but it was just so beautiful to see us driving down the street and people waving, people blowing their horns to know that, what, we are accepted here. We just need to get out there. And I'm sure if we get out there and do more, and show more that, hey, we're here, we're proud, we're loud, we're not going nowhere. Our population is always going to get bigger. I think that was one of the most beautiful things for me since we started this organization, to see happening in Prince George's County. It was just amazing. Every time I look on the videos, it was just amazing to see that.
No, I saw some of the pictures. It was really nice.
Thank you.
Are you thinking of doing a similar thing upcoming June?
Oh, definitely.
Awesome.
We will definitely do another motorcade. And, it may look a little bit different because it was the first one. So one group took one route, one took the other, but it was amazing. But, I'm hoping that the pandemic would be gone some. So we could probably even do a little bit of a park concert type of stuff, So, but we'll definitely do something in June, and we're gonna do another forum, and we're gonna keep doing stuff. As I mentioned, once the pandemic gets better, our goal is to do something at least once a month. It may be a paint and sip and paint night. It may be a poetry night. It may be just happy, or maybe something simple. But we're gonna get out there, and I am hoping that with the upcoming election, organization like yours, ours, and other organizations, we can put together a forum for some of these candidates so that they understand that we're here. Because I've been around in the political scene for a little while, and I realize that if they don't see you, they don't care about what you think. And I honestly think that's something that we should focus on in the upcoming election that's going to be in June 2022.
And in a year, they'll have more voters when kids turn 18. So
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And it would be awesome if it's youth driven.
And I feel like this, I don't know, this generation right under me, Z, I feel like they're a little more, I guess overall, I feel like they're like a little more like aware or something than
Right.
I was when I was 18, to be honest. So I feel like that'll be good when they turn 18. I think they're like, fine.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're more straight to the point with politicians too.
Exactly.
They are. They're not
That's a
like
good thing.
scared. Yeah, they're not like scared of like challenging the status quo and stuff. For sure.
It's a very good thing because we need, Prince George is going to have a very good potential of us to be a mecca in the DMV as well, just like DC with the LGBTQ plus community, because there's so many LGBTQ plus folks that live here in Prince George's County. They go to DC. I went to a club in DC one time to do an event. And there were so many people there from Prince George's County. And I always ask, why do you come to DC? Because there's nowhere else to go. There's nothing to do in the county. So we have that space.
So you're like, okay, so I'm gonna bring it to the county then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Joy in the comments, she mentioned about a great documentary on Marsha P. Johnson called The Death and Life of Marsha P. Johnson. I don't know if you'd seen that. I haven't seen it, but it sounds good.
All right, and I haven't seen it. The Death and Life
of Marsha P. Johnson. Joy always has
on Netflix.
Yeah.
She is a pioneer, man. She's a pioneer, and she needs to be more highlighted. Not just in Black History Month, but in general. We talk about Rosa Parks, we talk about MLK, we talk about all these people that done great things. This woman was a strong woman. She started the Stonewall movement. And that's what prompted the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And a lot of people don't understand that.
No, credit is not given enough. And I'm not sure why, but it's LGBTQ plus people have been behind the civil rights movement from the beginning. So definitely been front and center. And speaking of trans rights and trans people and everything, we are having the next Up and Out session we're having is we're going to have a trans panel. I believe Joy is hosting it, and it's going to be Wednesday, March 10th at 4. So just putting that out there because we do need to uplift trans people and, just bring more awareness, as you've been saying, to everything they've experienced and are experiencing, of course. But
It's
Marshall is amazing. Sorry.
It's very important.
Mm-hmm. And I lived actually for a second around where Stonewall happened, like in New York City, Christopher Street and stuff. And even there, I think now there's more awareness. There's more and more awareness, I should say. But she wasn't mentioned as much as you would think she would be, especially for it being New York City.
Where it
right around where it happened. But I think people are speaking about her more and more, which is a good thing. So
yeah.
We do have some more programs we would like to highlight to let you know about,
Sure.
We have, especially for Black History Month, we have a career chat, and these are more teen focused things. Speaking of career and how important that is, we have a career chat with historically Black colleges Wednesday, February 17th from 3 to 4.
Okay.
We have a teen action group meeting Thursday, March 4th. And Chris, I think you have more experience with the teen action group. Can you describe what that is for people?
So Teen Action Group is our organization. It now with COVID, everything being virtual, but it is 4 different segments that you can join as a teen. We have a general interest leadership group, we have an arts group, we have a how-to group, and we have a community group. And if you're not sure which one you want to go into, you can try one out, and then the next meeting try another one. But it's just basically just doing in any of those 4 categories, join together with other teens, planning out a project, putting it into implementation, and you can also gain service hours for joining up with TAG. 1 service hour for every meeting.
And service hours can be contributed to or credited for college applications and stuff, right?
Yep. At any time, your school says that you need the service hours put forward for the high school or for college applications. TAG is definitely a benefit for that too.
That's awesome.
That's a good way to get experience too for other jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think.
And we also have on Thursday, March 4th, What Can I Do After High School? And that is going to be 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Cassie, you have a question. There's a question for you.
Sure. It says, should PG County have its own Pride Parade? I do think so. I do think that Prince George's County, we need to have our own Pride Parade because we have the resources here, and we need to be loud and proud in Prince George's County. And I think it's gonna come soon. We just have to come together and make it happen. But I think we should have our own Pride Parade.
I think so too. Prince George's County is really big. I don't see why.
Yeah.
I actually was surprised that there wasn't one. I was a little surprised, when when I had found out, when I moved down here and found out there wasn't one, I was a little surprised. But I know you make quick work of things, so it'll be a year or so, and you'll probably have a whole Pride Parade going. I believe in the Dignity Project.
Oh yeah, definitely. Once the COVID is over, we're gonna have one because we're definitely doing the motorcade again this year, and it's gonna be bigger than last year, I'm sure. And then once the COVID is over, we're gonna have our parade.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure. I hope to have you on again.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate being on here today, and I'm looking forward to be on again. You guys have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Take care.